of Monday, December 13th, 2021. 6 o'clock, we're in the library. What is this, conference room?
Yeah.
Close enough. The program room is closed. We have an appointment tonight's agenda, we have an appointment at 6:30 regarding a person who wants to enlighten us about the transfer station. Action items is we have a draft letter from the Board of Public Works to various parties on the PFAS regulations, the town code 285-29.1. We have board discussion on the dredge spoils update, labor costs for snow and ice, and tonight's vote to accept the minutes of November 8th and November 22nd. We have both those? Or we gonna pass over?
You have
No,
them.
we have them. I
Okay,
read them.
we wanna make sure. And then the superintendent's report is an update on a new facility at 965 Plain Street, update of Marshall Hills sidewalk project, and our next meeting will be next year, January 3rd, 2022. That is the agenda. Anyone else, any comments?
Second.
Okay, second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Yeah.
Thank you, Andy.
All right, let's just go to the action item. Dave, this is your action item, I'll let you take it.
Okay, yep. I have drafted, your guys, gentlemen, are currently reviewing the previously drafted letters, which basically dealt with both the DTE, the DEP and DPU, as well as Verizon, Eversource, and their other functions that might have to attend to that stuff. But in addition to that, I also drafted a letter supplementing that, and it's in here somewhere, right, Emily?
Yep. It's right behind the appointment.
I'm sorry? Behind the appointment?
appointment.
Okay. That's the minutes, I'm sorry, behind the appointment.
Yeah. That's
Looking
fine.
for it. I got it. Actually, I don't have it. There we go. I probably pulled it out already.
Yeah, I do that. Okay.
And then there was a letter basically, no, that wasn't the one I was doing.
Here it is.
What?
I'm gonna give you my letter.
What do you?
No,
That's the
that's a
PFAS
select,
one.
that's a different one. It's a PFAS
Oh,
one, thank you.
sorry.
That's the one for
This is
the,
the one when we go out to our Marshfield Water Enterprise
Yeah.
customers. Basically, there's no specific regulatory requirement for them to do anything. The purpose is to educate them on the types of products that basically involve PFAS. Because we have the public, I'll read it out, okay, which is, Dear Marshfield Water Enterprise customer, the Marshfield Board of Public Works, Department, DPW Superintendent, Water Supervisor are sending this letter to make you aware of a class of contaminants recently added to those that the Marshfield Water Division routinely tests for, known as polyfluoroalkyl substances, commonly referred to as PFAS chemicals and considered forever chemicals due to the fact that they do not break down in the environment. Marshfield's testing to date has not had any PFAS contamination that exceeds Mass DEP threshold of 20 parts per trillion. And testing through October of this year has well site results well below the 20 parts per trillion action point. Rest assured, Marshfield's water is safe to drink. The reason we're sending this letter is to enlist your help in keeping it that way. Obtaining a list of specific products and a specific PFAS type and percentage of the products has not yet been provided through either the United States Environmental Protection Association or the Mass DEP. However, the attached page, which is excerpted from procedures provided to employees involved in sampling water for PFAS, gives a good sense of the general products and materials which contain PFAS. The list of do not use items. No Teflon containing materials. Do not store samples in containers made of low-density polyethylene materials, no Teflon tubing, no waterproof field books, no plastic clipboards, binders, or spiral hardcover notebooks, no Post-it notes, no chemical ice packs, blue, field clothing, no new clothing or water-resistant, waterproof, or stain-treated clothing containing Vortex TN, which is a trademark. No clothing laundered using fabric softener, no fabric softener, No boots containing Gore-Tex, no Tyvek, no cosmetics, moisturizers, hand creams, or other related products as part of personal cleaning, showering routine on the morning of sampling. Sample containers, no low-density polyethylene or glass containers, no Teflon lined caps, no waterproof or resistant rain gear, no Decon 90 for decontamination items, okay, no water from on-site well, and no food or drink with the exception of what's noted to the right, which is bottled water and hydration drinks, i.e. Gatorade and Powerade, to be brought and consumed only in the staging area. Okay. Potable water from municipal water supply is allowed, but raw water is not. Okay. Lined high-density polyethylene or high-density polyethylene or propylene actually is allowable for containers. Okay, sunscreens are allowed, okay, as long as they are organic, free, or natural. Okay. Cotton clothing is what's recommended because of the potential for PFAS and just about everything else. You have to avoid, you can use a number of products that are listed on here, but the bottom line is there is a huge number of items. The next paragraph gets into PFAS being as widely used, and the types of products and substances material listed means that they can make their way into groundwater and hence to our wells through activities such as dishwashing, laundry, personal care products, used in baths and showers, and toilet use through our septic systems. We have seen some correlation between nitrate concentration in well water samples and PFAS. Also during heavy rains we experienced this past late summer and early fall, our Webster number 1 and 2 wells and the Furnace Brook 4 well, which are located relatively close to housing, showed higher PFAS, still well below the 20 ppt, suggesting that runoff from streets and lawns may also be introducing PFAS to groundwater. One would expect that with a higher rainwater into the groundwater, if the effect is strictly from septage, it should be diluted.
You saying that?
Huh?
You gonna say that?
I'm saying that now. I didn't put it in the letter because it also could mean that there's holdup because of in the ground itself with the PFAS, and the heavier rainwater helps wash it out. And we don't have enough data from anywhere or anybody to make that conclusion. It would take more study. Okay. You can, in the next paragraph of this letter is you can keep PFAS out or at low levels by choosing to avoid the class of products that our technicians must avoid during sampling well water for PFAS. Doing so is in your best interest as it protects your health and your water cost because excluding PFAS is far less costly than installing the equipment to remove PFAS in excess of 20 parts per trillion. A number of towns, and the T got dropped off, that's what it says owns, so that has to be corrected, that have had to remove PFAS have spent millions of dollars to install systems with activated carbon or demineralizers. These systems also add significant additional operating costs and create hazardous effluent and or waste products to be processed. A TV report on PFAS earlier in 2021 stated that the town of Air spent $25 million for a demineralizer system on one well site. And this would be respectfully from the Board of Public Works for our signatures. So I would like your consideration on that, and at our next meeting, revised as needed, we can approve it or not.
John, do you have comments on this?
Yeah, that's a lot to absorb. I appreciate it, Dave. That's an awful lot for the consumer.
Yep.
To just, wrap around their brain here. I don't know if we send this out.
My thought would be that we would send this in particular to houses that abutted our well sites or within close to Zone 2 regions. There's homes on School Street that are pretty close to Furnace Brook 4, and of course there are houses in and around Grace Lane for Webster number 1. Webster number 2 is further away, but it is also significantly in the down gradient path of all of the new housings that were built out in the third expansion of the Blackmount area, where all the 1 acre plus zoning is.
If we are going to do this, I think we ought to run this by the health department too.
I have actually had a conversation with the health agent on this subject. He is generally not against it. He hasn't seen a copy of the letter. I would be looking to have the letter, vetted a little further than just me and this
Yeah.
board.
I think we need to do that because, you know, we're gonna have everybody, not necessarily knowing, I mean, you know, use cotton clothing and no Tyvek, no cosmetic. This is serious problem. However, sending this out, I'm afraid we're gonna, I don't know, we're gonna start something that maybe we don't wanna go down this road. Is it anything with the state? Can we wait for the state to come out with something?
The state is working on, currently they have a task force ongoing. There's both DEP, various towns are part of it, and also some portions of the legislative body are there, I think representatives and state senators. And they're working on approaches, but so far, everything I have seen out of the state, both in the press and also on TV, and also the US EPA, is reactive, not proactive.
Right, and right now, they don't have any standards to go by. They're working, that's one of the task force,
When you say standards, you're referring to?
any guidelines or anything for us to follow.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think what you're meaning by that is what, guidelines for the products? Is that what you're saying? Okay.
What products are out there, and I know that tomorrow, there's a Zoom meeting tomorrow at 1 o'clock from 1 to 2 with the DEP and Worcester Polytech.
Okay.
And I have an address if you want to.
Yeah, would you email it to me?
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. And it's an hour long, they're kind of outlining how they're proceeding with these guidance, or, I don't even know what the right word is for this.
So I can speak to that, because I sent you the email. I'm in the middle of this at the state level, so I can't touch this.
Yeah.
But risk communication is very dangerous. I mean, you don't want to be calling the fire, bringing the fire alarm until we actually know what we're doing. I mean, they have UMass Amherst, Worcester Polytech, and basically they're trying to categorize risk communication in locations. Industrial area, farm areas, firefighting areas, and then certain residential areas. And so there's a group of class of chemicals that in each group. And they're trying to focus in so people can actually zone in where would those chemicals or where those sites would be in relation to what the risk is. And they're kind of hammer that out. Tomorrow, DEP is having a webinar, which I said Tommy and Roy, I invited them to go. It's an internal departmental thing, but I think it's open to people who could get on with it. So I gave it to Tom, so that we can get a handle on what do we really need to communicate out to the public. Because we don't want to start ringing the fire alarm and there's no fire. But I think that we need to say something in the CCR report. That this is really doing, and have, in the CCR report, have a dedicated section that if you live near a well site, and you have to focus in where it is to where you live. Because if you live down by the beach, it doesn't matter to me. If you live on 139 east or south of it, it doesn't matter because there's no well fields. It's just where the zone 2s are that we have to do.
It'd actually be 139 to the west.
So then where the wells are. So do's and don'ts is do's and don'ts. Where can you do? It's not across the whole town. So it's almost like if we don't narrow it down, then people are going to be confused. And I really don't want them to be confused because it's going to cost us money to send out anything in a mailing. But we want to make sure we get it right. So I think the risk communication piece that we first should do, in my mind, is that we write up a document to put in the CCR report. Because the CCR report is due in the next 2 months anyway.
Yeah.
So it's not like it's not gonna be timely. We can actually focus in on, our counterparts at Board of Health, DEP, State Health, Public Health, and see where it is so that we can actually get some kind of document. And then if people are more interested, then we put the websites of where we're going with it. I think that the idea that we actually have a bylaw that prohibits certain things that we've got at town meeting should be in the CCI report. We should use that as a vehicle for communications.
That bylaw is currently still under review with the state.
Yeah, so we could say that, though, we could put it in the documentation. So we have 2 months, 2 months to actually pull something together to add it into the CCI report. So that's what I'm coming from.
I think, you know, if there's some type of information maybe we can get out of this tomorrow. And then Dave's idea of directing these letters to the general vicinity of the well sites, I think is rather than the whole town.
No, I don't want the whole time, I think.
Right.
Now, this letter was intended to go basically, people living adjacent to Grace Lane, Webster 1,
Yeah,
Furnace Brook 4, which is off of School Street, those houses there. We know that they have the higher nitrate rates, which suggests that they're flowing out of those particular areas as opposed to elsewhere. I feel like, I don't have an issue with what you're doing, but, I think one of the reasons there's no further detailed information on the products to avoid for PFAS is probably tied more to the fact that the commercial entities will be all over anybody that reacts too soon to it, okay? Which I think is what's holding back the state and also what's holding back the EPA. It is the fact that they could get tied up in litigation possibly on this stuff. And as far as I'm concerned, bring it on.
Well, do we want the-
Delaying on this, you look at the communities that have delayed on this, okay? There were health issues in air because of the concentrations they had. Now, air is one of those places where they were dealing with PFOS, the firefighting.
Fire-
But, we've also had it down our way, fortunately, Marshfield Fire Department got rid of it all quite a while ago, okay? But I had a brief conversation the other day with the fire chief, okay, at the last Board of Selectmen meeting outside, and he basically was telling me he knew towns where they were actually using that stuff in like tubs and stuff like that, the kids were going in and things like that. I mean, I would rather be guilty of excessive action than inadequate action.
well, 2 years ago, the state had a buyback program to buy all back the firefighting and all the.
No, I understand that.
I understand.
I'm aware of it. Bottom line is, okay, I will go with the consensus of the board. I don't have an issue with that per se. But my personal feeling is I am not letting up on this, and I will exercise my privilege as a citizen, as well as a board member, to go out on my own individual hook, get on WATD, get on Marshfield Community Television, and get the word out. And I'll take and let the chips fall where they may.
The question is, Dave, is the word has to be focused to what's in the community. And we don't have a problem other than Webster 1. And
We
should-
have problems with Webster 1, we have problems with Webster 2,
Right.
and we have problems with Furnace Brook 4. At
And
this time, they are our highest well sites. I just got through going through all of the data. There's another wrinkle to this. Our laboratory, which provides us our results, ceased to list the report in a PFAS 1 through 6 form that the state is actually regulating right now at the 20 PPT. And instead, they merged a bunch of it. Okay, and that's going to add confusion. It's going to add confusion up at the state level if somebody is just looking at the bottom line of the report. There's a lot of fog index that seems to be showing up on this thing. I was going to touch on it as a piece of, when
so,
Tom makes his report as a question, he knew that, and I gave my heads up.
so I would like to propose that we get more information, that we work with the Board of Health, write something up, run it by whoever we have to run it by, include the bylaw, put it in the CCR report, and then if you want to do a focus letter, after we get a solid, for those areas that people are close to the well fields, I'm in favor of that.
Okay.
I'm also in favor of, maybe upgrading some of those septic systems that are along those along those well fields, and to protect our water supply even further.
How are you gonna upgrade a septic system to exclude PFAS?
Well, the thing is, you have to,
You're gonna either have to put activated chop
I understand.
on it, or, and, you know.
depending on
that's
what's
gonna
coming,
be a
depending on where it's coming from.
cost. Okay, again, Bob, I respect your opinion, but I'm sorry, I'm not marching with you.
Okay?
We've just discussed this, and I appreciate all Dave's comments and everything. But, we've discussed this now, and then we said now we have a problem, which we don't have a problem yet. I don't see we have send out a letter that,
Well,
we don't really have a problem where we would upset the town to a point.
we don't have a level of contamination, I will go along with that,
Right.
but, delay may result in
No,
having it.
I'm for you, I'm just saying that
Yeah.
right
And I
now,
understand
we're
where you're
doing
coming
our due diligence, we're
Yeah.
discussing a potential problem. I know there is, the wells are closer to some of the homes. So, if we just include different agencies in our whole discussion and the letters that will go out, I think it would benefit everybody.
Like I said, I will go with the consensus of the board on a formal basis, but I will not hesitate to
I
go out to
understand.
the public as an individual, this is my right. One thing, Bob, in this Zoom meeting, do you have any sense that they would be discussing the other PFASs that are being examined during these tests? But
I have no
not
idea.
regulated? Okay.
I was at a staff meeting the other day, and it was,
Yeah.
it was open to whoever wants to come in.
Yeah.
It was more of the data.
Yeah.
They're looking at the analytical data from a bunch of grad students from Worcester Polytech, that they were putting in certain things, categories, and trying to focus in on what are those chemicals that are in those type of communities, and that we can actually, get the risk communication piece out. And that's what we're trying to do, is to say, you don't want to be, I don't have any problem going to ATD, I'll go on AT2, but I want to know what I have to say. And I want to make sure we get the message correct and straightforward, because, do's and don'ts, where should you do the don'ts? I mean, there's a good list here, but where can I do it, where I can't? And, if I use, softener, on a septic system, and I'm using softener for my laundry, and I'm on the sewer, what's the difference? So, this whole thing is at the federal level. And that-
Further discussion, not
Yeah,
that
That's
we
fine.
don't have good information now, but we just need more.
Okay. So basically, the board will defer action to a future meeting. Got it.
well, we're deferring action for more information.
You're deferring action to a future meeting because you want more information.
Yeah, correct.
I will acknowledge that.
Okay.
Okay,
But
thank you.
we'll hold it back.
Hold on now.
All right. Six,
All right.
we have appointment.
What happened to our appointment?
He's right there.
Here he is. That's him.
29, already.
We're locked in.
I'm Mr. Gasser, you can sit right here if you like.
Good evening to the Board of Public Works.
Hello.
Hi, my name is Robert Charles. I'm the Board of Public Works Chairman. I know we have two other members, our superintendent. You probably know most of them, you get their nameplates. Could you state your name and address for the record, and what brings you to the Board of Public Works?
I'm Gerald Gasser, I'm from 73 Pilgrim Trail, Marshfield. I have two main topics. The first is on the swap shop at the transfer station. The second is a tree that's on town property in front of my property that I've been making notifications on for over 2 years, needing to be removed and it's a danger. I'd like to start with the first topic. I must say it's very hard to get to see the board. It's taken 5 months now. The first month I spent weekly telephone calls to the DPW secretary and was told that it would be referred on, and week after week after week I didn't hear, and eventually I got another person who did schedule me for this 3 months later. I came last month and found that I wasn't on the docket, and when I had an appointment, and I'm back this month again, so.
So let's go on the first item that you're bringing up is the swap shop.
The swap shop.
Swap shop has been closed for, since COVID-19 started, and Superintendent, why is it closed?
We did have it closed for some time, then we opened it, got a little unruly. What we're doing is we're handling rubbish twice. The stuff that's going into the swap shop is just rubbish, and I don't think that our staff should be handling it more than once. I think that, we've had some issues with individuals up there that don't follow the rules, and when that interferes with our daily operation, the swap shop was more of a courtesy to some of the residents, and when the stuff that is going into the swap shop is broken and in pieces, it's not worth the effort to keep it open.
As they say, one man's trash is another's treasure. I see a lot of things, a lot of people that have been there that have found very valuable things that they've needed and dropped off other things, for other people. It went from, it was closed for the 2 months that we had the trash strike for some unknown reason, I don't understand. And then the next, I'll give you just a timetable here. Let's just, okay. It's been going on for many years. I don't know how many years you've had the swap shop. I haven't lost count, but it's very well utilized by many people, enjoyed by a lot of people. Items are reused for reducing waste in disposal stream, reducing events of illegal dumping. And we first had the unexplained closure during the trash strike, and then an extended closure during the corona epidemic. I was told by a male worker at the swap shop at the kiosk that the Board of Health was responsible for this. I called the Board of Health. I got a prompt response saying they really did not restrict the swap shop being open. All they asked for from the DPW was a plan. They submitted the plan to be open 3 days a week, and they approved it. But they said they could just as well approve 5 days or 6 days a week. They were not responsible for the limiting of the swap shop. So then we went from 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and then I go into one of those days and it's closed again. No explanation, no signs. They have huge signs saying swap shop closed, and then no signs, no information. I double back through, go to the kiosk. I'm told, well, now it's just open on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And then I go on one of those days at 3:30, and it's closed, and I double back, and they say, well, we wanted to reduce traffic, so we're closing at 3. So we've gone from 6 days a week, 8 hours a day, to 7 hours, 2 days a week. Let's see now. Then when I was asking before this at the kiosk, when's it going to be open? I was told, well, I don't know. A few weeks later I asked again, and I guess you call it a scheduler of the transfer station overhears that, comes up and starts loudly, hostily saying that I'm not going to expose my workers to touch things and get corona because they might have to pick them up and then toss them away. which was concerning. There's never been any kind of signs out there that tell you that it's closed temporarily. I talked with other residents and they say, I just thought it was closed permanently because they're going through on one of the days where it's closed. And never any postings or signs, swap shop is open Tuesdays and Thursday, it was closed today, it's open again such and such. It seems there's a pattern of obstructing use of the swap shop. When I asked one male worker who was filling in at the kiosk about it, I asked if it was open, he says, unfortunately. It sort of sounds like the staff there does not like the responsibilities of the swap shop and they've limited it rather than it being something from the desire of the townspeople. When I go by the metal recycling, I see a lot of valuable things in metal recycling. People don't have time. If it's not open, they don't think it's open, they just start throwing it away. You see valuable things going into the trash stream again. I've heard, Superintendent, I've heard what you mentioned, someone said inappropriate things were being left there. Again, what can I say? There's a lot of good things being left there. There's a lot of needs being met. There's a lot of things passed on to other people, and I take exception with why it's been closed and the whole process about how it's been closed and how the lack of communication. So that's my first point. Any further response on that?
If I might, Tom?
Certainly.
Okay. I took a good hard look at the statistics from 2019, which is the last full year before COVID-19 hit us. We have basically trash that goes to disposal. Some of it comes under the category of being paid, and that is principally whatever comes in, pays your throw bags, or what is picked up at curbside and brought into the transfer station. We have a lot of trash that has no actual fee tied to it because it could be discarded school supplies, roadside trash that picked up, cemetery trash. There's a whole list of it, but basically it sums up to about, for the calendar year of 2019, 273.35 tons of material. Okay? Now the swap shop trash, meaning the material that was left at the swap shop that nobody wanted to take, amounts to 61.04 tons for 2019. So you're looking at basically swap shop trash amounts to roughly 18.25%, okay, of the total trash that we put out that has basically no fee paying for its disposal. And disposal currently is at $94 a ton. And the bottom line would come down, that means you're spending about $5,737 for swap shop trash to be dumped, and we have to handle that twice, as the superintendent pointed out.
Course of the year
Okay,
or
excuse me, huh?
Is that in a year or a month or?
That was the calendar year 2019, as I stated in the beginning.
$5,000.
$5,737. Now, the total town trash, for which we don't get fees, whether from whatever source it comes from, which would be town pier pickup, beach cleanup, etc., is $25,708. So it's a significant chunk of the trash which basically does not have fee collected in order to help pay for disposal. It is basically roughly pretty close to 50% of what goes into that swap shop is trashed out because nobody takes it. Or it's bad, it's junk. We've had people leave bags of garbage there in the past, okay? It has been abused. And the only way that's prevented is basically you have to pay somebody to basically be there and play policeman for it. And the staff is just not that big there. That's a problem for us. And COVID has not done anything to reduce some of that stuff, in my opinion, because most people were doing an awful lot of cleanup during that period of time because they were home, they weren't going to work. I look at this now and, never looked at it the same way I did for this particular issue, and it comes down to me that it's almost like we need an additional tag charge in order to fund it, to have people police it, in order to keep it from being a hazard and a problem. And
That might be popular when I
Huh?
hear.
I'm sorry?
That might be popular when I hear the response of other people that like the swap shop.
Well, there would be a fee that would have, I mean, we'd have to statistically figure out how many days a week we want to do it. I am against basically the Saturday swap shop opening, mainly because Saturday is the heavy traffic day through the transfer station for people who, bringing things in that work Monday to Friday, and also yard waste and everything else coming in. The traffic in the station on a weekend is heavier than it typically is on a weekday. So, I'm basically completely supportive of the staff's current position, which is basically to minimize its opening. And with the Omicron variant of COVID coming out right now, and its ability to seem to break through people that are fully vaccinated, I would have zero issue with closing it again until that is behind us, because we are exposing members of the public in a small, closed space, okay? And I have been in the swap shop many times, so it's a relatively small, closed space. You got one door open, basically, but everybody's inside and there's no airflow there. I know because you're not aware of this, I was a staff engineer working on projects at Solid Waste, okay? I was also a superintendent prior to Tom Reynolds, okay? And I'm pretty damn familiar with how the operations go on down there, and, it is not a place, I've seen that place packed with 4 and 5 people, to the point where, it's congested and you're just not gonna be able to move around in there. And, the more you open it up, the more that happens. And with COVID-19 and the Omicron variant right now, which seems to be highly contagious, although apparently not as lethal, I just assume see us not there, and that's my position on that.
I see staff that hover inside the building there, and if they follow the placard on the side, this is only one person in there. If the staff person is hovering inside the building, then ostensibly no one else should be going in there at the same time. That isn't followed too terribly well.
That may be the difficulty they're having with people when they try to tell them to leave while I take care of cleaning up in here.
I wonder if some of the things would have gotten recycled if they were saved longer. I've seen some awfully good things that just get trashed continually.
And I have seen a lot of things that were trash that were brought in there.
Well, yeah, they do, with both of us. So, John, do you have a comment?
Yeah, somewhat, I appreciate you coming in. And we're always welcome to residents coming in and saying your piece. It is open 2 days a week. Correct? You have 2 days a week?
7 hours, 2 days a week.
Yeah, during the trying times, I think if perhaps we would post a sign, it's open 2 days a week, Tuesday.
Well, it's on the webpage.
Okay, so,
It's been put on the webpage when we were closed. It was put on the webpage when we were open 3 days a week, and then it was updated when we went to 2 days a week.
Could we have a sign, this swap shop is open only on Tuesday, Thursday, or whatever 2 days it is?
Yeah, we could make a sign and put something up
And-
there.
But what we have in trying times, and I know it's only for one person to go in at one time, but I don't think that that's followed that closely.
No.
As for the recycled material you saw in the metal, that we get paid for. So it really doesn't, we don't lose on that. And it's not something that goes to trash, that goes to recycling. So, I don't know what you see. You haven't mentioned.
There were beautiful brass lamp fixtures, outside lamp fixtures there that would cost $100 a piece, and they're just tossed in there. I'm sure it contributed very little to the actual metal, but the value.
Well, how do you know they're brass?
I can tell brass when I look at brass.
Yeah, I'm a plumber.
Especially when it's outside.
I can tell copper and brass
And
pretty
it's-
quick.
And it's outside,
Yeah,
and it's weather and things like that.
I appreciate you coming in, but I think being open 2 days a week in these trying times is sufficient.
If I may, Mr. Chairman.
No, can I speak first?
Sure.
I love the swap shop. And I agree with John saying and the superintendent, that these are trying times. Once this pandemic is over, we can revisit what really needs to be done and what we can put in there. I agree that the lack of communication at the site, not necessarily just the website, needs to be addressed. Put a sign up, put something that says Tuesday, Thursday, they have it movable, it's closed this week, whatever. I mean, we have to be somewhat flexible in these public health issues.
That goes a lot of work moving all the huge tractor tires and the buckets and things like that, closing it off each time.
Well, yeah, but they have heavy equipment, so I mean, the bottom line is there is a lot of trash that goes in there, and I agree with Dave, I've been up there, and a lot of stuff is just broken and shouldn't even have been put in there. People are looking at it as an easy way of avoiding paying or throwing bags, or putting it out at the curbside or large pieces. So it's like, you know, it's one or the other, and in order to have a person that's dedicated to the swap shop, it's not gonna cost us a small penny. Well, you know, we'd have to dedicate at least a half FTE of full-time staff, and then that becomes a losing battle for the town. So I appreciate you coming in. That's the swap shop issue. I'd like to address the Pilgrim Trail tree issue.
Right, I have some copies of letters if anyone wants to see them.
Thank you.
Superintendent, you should be,
Pass it on down. Good, I'll let you read.
you should be
Pass it back.
familiar with this, because I sent one to you. So this tree is 1 foot from the sidewalk. I have a very comprehensive plot plan survey with cement marker going down 3 or 4 feet into the ground. It's clearly on town property outside of my property. I started in 2019, hand-delivered a letter to the superintendent's attention of this tree and of the sidewalk having been broken. Now I have these 80-foot tall pine trees. In the fall, in 2018 I think it was, within 1 month of windstorms, I first had 2 of these just snap right off. These were healthy trees, and they went across my property, across my driveway and the like. I dealt with that, and a month later, another one fell right across the street, took down all the power lines, all communication lines, broke a telephone pole, which still is there, from the new one and the like. And the town was quick, within a couple of hours, had cut it up and used a huge front-end loader to throw it on my lawn for the next 3 months. But they demolished the sidewalk in many places, and it's a danger. So that was addressed in my first letter also. So coming up to the fall, I started to notice that this large tree has 2 huge stalks. I sent pictures and everything along to both Mike Maresco and to Superintendent Reynolds about this. It started to split, and I became much more concerned about it. So this time I sent certified return receipt letters to both the superintendent and to Michael Maresco. Heard absolutely nothing back. You see more of the intermittent details in there. But the town seems to be developing a reputation for not handling their trees that are dangerous. On Ferry Street a few months ago, a retired arborist notified the DPW of a tree that was impending to fall. And sure enough, probably a month later, it fell across the road, it took down the power lines, it required it to be disposed of. He even offered out of his own pocket to pay to have this removed if the town would provide a police detail, since that would have been necessary. He got no response back. It seems like there's sort of an ongoing pattern of negligence from what I hear from a lot of people. I know we have a dangerous town tree, and we can look at the details of this, but I again address this as an issue that continues. Every time the wind blows strong, I see this thing swirling. I'm just wondering whose car is going to land on who's going to kill. Abington had a situation where they'd been notified of a dead tree in the little median between the street and the sidewalk. And one day, no wind, no anything, the tree came down, crushed a couple in a car that was passing by and killed them. I don't think the town can handle things this way.
So are we talking about one tree?
One tree. All the other trees are mine. If there's any other problem, I spent $14,000 in 3 visits to tree companies, and many other
This
trees.
last storm where all the trees all over town fell down, how did this tree do?
It's surprisingly still standing. I was very surprised, but my arborist friend who looked at it said, yeah, a pig is about 6 months. total."
Is it dead?
It's dead, the bark is falling off in huge quantities.
Okay.
Very menacing tree.
Tom, have we looked at this tree?
Yeah, I've had our arborist look at it, and that's the reason why it hasn't come down. Because he didn't feel that it needed to come down.
Is it dead?
I can tell a dead tree from a not dead tree.
Okay.
Okay,
I'll
okay.
say
I got one question, Tom, yeah. How close is this to the power lines?
It's across the street.
Okay, so it's outside the 10-foot radius, okay. Yeah. Most people aren't aware of it. You have to be a certified person to work within 10 feet of an energized conductor. Most of the top lines of the poles in Marshfield are at 25 kV, okay, which means you have to have the 10-foot. If it's 1,000 volts or under, then you can go to 3 or 4 feet. But sometimes that interferes with our going into a tree because we don't have certified persons. We have to get some Eversource or one of their subcontractors to do it.
I've even notified all the utilities.
Huh?
I've notified utilities, they can,
Yeah, but if it's not within 10 feet of their conductor, they're not gonna touch it.
there's a gas line that I had installed that runs in that 1 foot space between the sidewalk and the tree. If that were to uproot, it probably would fracture the gas line also.
Gas lines, plastic.
So I'm gonna get to the chase, cut to the chase on it. The point is, there's one tree on this property that you've been arguing for 3 years, almost 4 years. There's a difference of opinion, is it alive, is it dead? And it's outside of the electric,
If it's outside of the 10 foot, then it's not an
it's
interference.
not individual.
Yeah. It's-
I'd like to go out and take a look at
When
it.
it's 80 feet tall.
Since you came into here, I'll go and see you, I'll go out
Sure.
and see you.
Not hard to spot.
All right, so I can go out and I'll look at the tree.
I'm astounded at someone saying the tree is not dead when massive sheets of bark fall off of it.
So
There's no
basically, there's a
branches,
difference
no
of
branches,
opinion,
no
not to cut you
branches.
off,
Yeah.
but to cut to the chase.
Okay.
There's a difference of opinion between the town and you. One says it's alive and doesn't need to be addressed. It lived through this past major storm when we got trees all over town. And I've got 25 trees in my yard that were alive that got knocked down. So, this tree might be like saying, I don't wanna die yet.
Well, we've
So
had-
let me go out and take a look at it.
We've had the engineers look at it, we've had our arborists look at it, and we've had our cemetery trees and greens foreman, both of them look at it.
Okay,
And our arborist is a certified arborist.
Certified.
so who's the arborist?
Nick Hillman,
Can I go out with him?
certainly.
I'll go out this week.
Thank you.
All right, I want to thank you for coming in and bringing it to the board's attention.
I rest my case. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
I'd just like to make a comment.
Yeah, sure.
Not being disrespectful, did you call someone negligent, did you say? The negligent? The town was negligent?
I feel that way. When-
I don't think so.
Okay.
Hearing from the staff and from what you've done, and the arborist is gonna look at it, I don't take that. That's being disrespectful to the DPW. They've done their due diligence.
I can tell you more stories about the.
I don't wanna hear any more stories.
Tree green.
I don't want,
Okay.
I can tell right away. No, I don't wanna hear any more stories.
Okay,
Thank you.
I want to thank you for coming, and I'll take a look at the tree with the tree warden and the tree arborist.
We'll get that set up.
I'll get set up, I'm here Tuesday or Wednesday this week.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay, thank you. Board update, discussion. Dredge spoils update.
Oh, yeah, how are we doing with that? I put that on the agenda. The reason I put it on the agenda is that during the past couple of weeks, maybe sooner, we had the Frank Mighty's mowed down on the north side, and I understand we were gonna dispose of 1,100 thereabouts cubic yards of dredge spoils from the Marshfield, Hummerock Yacht Club. So my questions on this is, number one, why are we doing any work? I have various questions. So the first one is, why are we doing any work for the Marshfield Yacht Club, storing their dredge spoils? Are they not taking care of their own dredge spoils? How do we end up with 1,100 cubic yards?
These dredge spoils were, they were put at Parsonage Street so that it would dry up. It was supposed to go to Clay Pit Road.
If you remember when they were doing that, John, you and I did not want to see it go to Clay Pit because of the saline content, and that being zone 2.
Yeah, it's correct, but the permit they have is, it was to go on to Rexham Beach.
The first amount of it went on Rexham Beach.
Basically, the bulk of it went on that right?
Yes,
Or out-
and this, the balance was, I think it was like more like 1,500, but there's only 1,100 at Parsonage Street. So the 1,500 was supposed to go to the dredge spoils area.
Yeah.
It was too silty to go on the beach. So, but as you brought to my attention, there was nothing in the permit to say that it could go to the dredge spoils area. So the only way that it could go there would be that that permit would have to be amended.
And then they would need another special permit because it's over 500 cubic
All
yards.
right,
So-
and it would have to be signed off by DEP
Right.
also.
Right, but my whole question is why, we got involved with dewatering. And that should have been it. Let the Marshfield Yacht Club over in Hummerock take care of
This-
their own dredge spoils.
This was all negotiated prior to me leaving, retiring last August. And it was somehow it was changed. It was not, I mean,
I know, you were-
originally it was supposed to go to Clay Pit so that it dried out, and then from there it was gonna be shipped out of Clay Pit, all right? How it ended up at Parsonage,
You don't know. yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Well, can we just wash our hands of it and let Marshfield Yacht Club take care of it? We should, because that's a private entity.
If I might interject though,
Go ahead.
we did agree to let it go to be dewatered at
Great.
Parsonage. And that was basically, that was after the transition when Tom went out, and actually, I think, got medical at that point in time, and then went into retirement. But
Right,
Yeah.
well, yeah,
the bottom line being, it was done under Sean's tenure during his interim. And he had told me at the time that and I don't know if he told you,
He didn't tell
but
me.
individually told me that, he had a home for it because he had someplace where it could be used for deep fill, where they were, backfilling someplace. That turned out not to happen. That was a piece of the, how it got where it was and why it stayed there. And I was unaware that it really didn't have a home, and I think that was misrepresented.
so we're working with DEP right now, and they're looking, from what I understand, to set up a meeting with me and the town administrator and the town engineer. But at the same time, they're looking at doing a bud with this stuff, that we can mix it with more sand and then put it on the landfill as cap.
That's a good one, Andy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we could, we're working on that right now with DEP, so
That's good.
there's a good possibility it won't even go to the dredge spoils area.
And the monies for this are coming from, this is still their
Well, if
dirt.
there is transportation costs, we'll be going back to the Marshfield Yacht Club.
I think so. During this conversation you're gonna have with
Because they were supposed to be,
let them bring it, let them have someone, I think I think the town administrator might be a member over there, so maybe he can speak for them.
well, we'll just,
What if he is a member and he's going to that meeting?
To my knowledge, I've never heard anything about Mike having a boat.
Yeah, but he's a cook there.
Oh, okay. Could be.
but anyways, if there is a cost to moving this, it's not gonna be incurred by the DPW.
Good.
Yeah, that's better.
All right, that's good. That's good anyway.
Yeah, that's better.
Thanks, Tom.
You're welcome.
All right, so we're not gonna go into dredge spoils.
No.
And if they do, they need
They
to
need to amend the permit,
modify it and then a separate special permit.
and then a special permit, because it's over the 5,000
Right,
yards.
500.
and
500.
500 years.
500, and then DEP has to sign.
Correct. Okay, well, that's a quick one, that's the end of that one, anyway.
Okay.
Well, let's move on.
Dave, you have any comments on it?
Nope,
Okay.
I'm good with it.
Well, we don't want to be paying for somebody else's issue.
Correct.
No, no.
Okay. Labor costs for snow and ice.
Oh, boy, that's a good one.
Wasn't this a continuation of?
This
the previous item?
this was the letter that you had asked us to draft, and the copy is in, it's actually in your, they were switched,
I
the
have stretched.
dredge spoils,
This sort of,
Dave's PFAS was on the snow and ice, and
Yep.
the snow and ice was on the PFAS, so.
I figured
all
that
works
out. That's a good, you know, can I just, I want to make a comment on this. I see indirect cost, but this is, you know, I'll say it out with just what I feel. This is not an indirect cost. This is straight labor used by using the enterprise fund employees to plow the town roads. It's nothing to do with indirect costs, but the second part,
Yeah.
the second part is clarifies the whole thing. You can't use the enterprise fund employees for non-enterprise fund expenses. That's the end of it.
Yeah, I drafted the letter, John, and the italicized words, that's verbatim from the,
Oh, I know you did.
Okay.
I know you did. You didn't put that in.
yeah.
But it's not really an indirect cost. It's a straight labor cost that we're not responsible for.
Right.
We don't plow the town roads with rate, we have the ratepayers pay for it. We're having the sewer, 4,000, what we got, about 4,000 ratepayers.
47, about
4,700, and they're paying for the whole town, which doesn't, you know, Union Street and the rest of the towns don't have sewer, so we're paying to plow the roads. It's a simple thing to send a copy of this to the DOR. And, you know, I know that, you know, they're all in the same bag here, but, you know, well, I tell them like it is. I mean, you know, just send it to them, because if they don't do that, it's sent, we've got the AG, because this is something you can't do.
Yeah.
And then I'll go further. But if you've gone and tried to straighten out some of these costs, we had a cost at one time for the legal fee. It was 6,000, almost 6,000 a month, every month. It went on since previous town council. It's now down, you know what it was? You know what it was this month? Instead of, you know what it was?
about 150 bucks.
$35. $35, down from $6,000 a couple of years ago. So when I address some of these costs that the ratepayers are responsible for, you know, it does matter. It does reach a level that when you speak up and see something, say something, it saves the ratepayers some money.
Yeah.
What are we gonna do about this? Well, maybe we won't plow.
One quick question and comment. My memory, you know, on the DOR guidelines for enterprise, okay, is, in the regulations, is that there is a paragraph tucked in there which basically deals with, you know, services provided by the enterprise division to the town. And, you know, like water service is an offset. You know, basically, you know,
I understand what you're saying.
we should be saying that, you know, plowing the roads with water enterprise and sewer enterprise personnel should in fact be, you know, treated that same way.
You could have it as an offset.
That's not what I'm saying, plug the language in there in place of that, the leading indirect paragraph that you had an issue with.
Well, yeah, we could.
So let's go
we
through
could
the first
track it and
paragraph.
go into an offset.
Yeah. So let's go through the letter. The first paragraph. Anyone have an issue with the first paragraph? All
No,
right, second paragraph. What's your comment, Dave, on the second paragraph?
Well, right, it's keying off of John's comment. This is, you know, it says indirect costs should be clearly set forth. This is not about an indirect cost. This is about basically a
An offset.
service provided by the enterprise divisions to the general fund. You know, and there is language within that guideline that kind of deals with that. I think it was a response to some of the questions.
Yeah, yeah,
One of the
it was
questions
definitely,
asked,
yeah.
could you use it as, you know, so we could kind of copy that language in place of the indirect cost
I'll
and
tell you what
basically
that
plug
is.
it in.
So the first sentence,
If you don't know.
first and second sentence, the italics needs to be reworked.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll work with Dan on that,
Okay.
all right?
All right, then outside of the italics, based on this directive, we need to refine that also.
What's that?
The
Well-
definition of what,
well, the directive may be okay once you have the corrected language up in the top, in the italics.
okay, so we can
That
leave
that
that.
sentence may stand, it may not. You'll have to wait and
Okay.
see how it works out.
So we need to rework the quote language.
Well, we don't have to rework that, it's.
Well, it has to be different, it has to be the offset stuff.
Well,
Well, no, actually,
Yeah.
that's pretty well covers it. Basically, you can't vote, legislative body can't vote to use enterprise funds for purposes not related to the enterprise. Okay? And the answer is no. Okay? And that basically is covering the fact that if you are using straight time to plow by the enterprise division personnel, it's not allowed.
So we're in agreement on the third paragraph.
I think the third
I agree.
paragraph is.
We're okay with the third paragraph.
I mean,
Yeah.
are you okay with that, Tom? I mean, from your perspective, and Dan?
Okay.
You don't have a horse in the fight right now.
Okay, before we move on to the fourth, are we okay with everything above that?
yep,
Yep.
Okay. All right, the last paragraph. Should it be me as the chair, or it should be through the superintendent?
I think, well, the enterprise fund policy was.
Chair to chair.
Was chair to chair,
Okay, that's what I was asking.
so it should come under
Chair to
your
chair.
signature.
So the last paragraph is okay?
well, there's a part of it that's not. What is the town comfortable paying? It's just what the actual cost is.
No, what account is it? So what I was asking is, all right, so if we incur these costs, where do you want us to take the money from? What account are you gonna supply to us that we can charge directly to it?
Do you wanna go with that or with the offset? I think the offsets are,
I think the offset would be more palatable, I
Yeah.
think, you know. And basically, it comes, you know, one of the things is the,
Does fluctuate.
Yeah, to be honest, like,
Fluctuate year to year.
I'm confused there because in our last meeting, you were saying that you didn't want to have it as part of an offset, that you wanted to have it be a direct cost. And that's what the second paragraph was
yeah,
saying.
okay,
The second paragraph, what I was saying is
Yeah.
like, you're putting it through an enterprise, you're putting it through an indirect cost for us and an offset. But the law says you can't charge for something that could be a direct cost. So the Board of Public Works wants you to identify the direct, we want you to know that you have to pay us for those hours, regular hours that an enterprise individual is working on that project.
Right,
quick
right.
question to Tom, if I might, John, before we proceed.
Go ahead.
Okay, the bottom line is when you hire contractors, that comes out of the snow and ice budget.
Yes.
Okay, so there could be a similar mechanism for the straight time being basically credited back for water, wastewater, or solid waste enterprise staff that's out working on straight time.
I mean, it has the accounting set up so that the numbers, the payroll
Yeah,
would be paid out of, could be paid out of snow and ice also. It's the same account that the overtime's paid.
Right, so the way that the town was looking at it was they were saying, everybody gets paid out of snow and ice for plowing. Now,
after normal hours,
that.
they got it, yeah.
But John's right, bringing up, okay, but the water guys or the wastewater guys, they're regular hours.
Yeah.
So the town is saying, yeah, but we've incorporated that amount into that 5% that we give you back.
Oh, no, that's just for vehicles.
That's right. So this letter is, what we're trying to do is we're trying to separate that, and we're saying, we can't do that, based on the language of the indirect manual, we can't do that. So what we want you to do is, we want the town to give us an account, so everybody else gets paid out of snow and ice, but when a staff member from one of the enterprise accounts is plowing during regular plow hours, our payroll person can hit that payroll line that they identify, and it would be paid directly by the town.
Could you do this where they're paid after hours, the rate, the enterprise fund employees, that has to be a number.
That would get paid out of the snow and ice.
Right, but it has to be a number him or her plugs in. Just make it the same for the straight time during the day. Same number.
I'm not following that.
You're talking the account number?
Yeah,
Well, that's what I had mentioned about
Yeah.
using the snow
same
and
thing,
ice
yeah.
account.
It's all there, it's
For
right
the
there.
enterprise funds, it would have to be used on the
Yeah.
straight time and the
Same
overtime.
number, whatever number they use for the overtime. For the. for
See,
the-
right now, it's an overtime, snow and ice overtime account. So another account would have to be set
You have
up
to have
for
a separate-
straight time.
Right, that would only be Monday through Friday,
Right.
7 to 3.
Yeah.
Right,
Right, everything else comes out of snow and ice.
exactly.
Overtime is not an issue for us.
Yeah.
The issue we have is
Yeah.
the regular time.
Yeah.
And that's what this letter is saying.
Okay.
So for those 7 to 3 hours, anybody with an enterprise account that's plowing for the town, we need an account from the town
Correct.
that pays them directly.
You had a
So
budget.
instead of saying payroll funding source, why don't we just tell them what we want?
Isn't that what an account number is?
It's just
They're
setting
funding
up
the
an
the
account.
payroll.
Setting up an account number similar to what the overtime is.
Yeah,
Right.
Just say it.
It would be a snow and ice, so it would be a snow and ice straight time
correct.
Okay.
or labor account, that's all it would be.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is one wrinkle I would think we should probably be looking at on this as well, and that is the fact that, a certain percentage of the straight time snow plowing is associated with, for example, clearing into the well sites. Okay, clearing the immediate area of wastewater, clearing the immediate area of solid waste. We need to, make sure we're set up to track and separate that, segregate that, so there's no question from there either. Yeah, because those are legitimate use of our people on straight
Listen,
time.
for the years, we've been screwed.
I'm not saying we
should
have
just. we
No,
should
just, it
have
does,
a wash.
it gets very complex, because now you're saying to a driver,
Yeah.
okay, so you work for the water department, so Monday through Friday between 7 and 3, I want you to write down when you're plowing at a pumping station. And then I want you to write down when you stop pumping and when you're out on the road. Now you gotta pull over and write down, okay, I started plowing the roads this time. And that's really what you guys are asking for. And,
Why give
That's
them all
for-
this information? Let's just charge them.
well, then,
Get away.
on another note, where you were saying, like, let's create a separate snow and ice. So when somebody in the highway department is plowing Monday through Friday, 7 to 3, we're hitting the highway department overtime.
Straight time.
Straight time.
Yeah.
So that's not a snow and ice separate line. We hit that highway, we hit cemetery,
But
trees and greens.
It's a general fund.
It's the general fund, which is also snow and ice for the general
Yes.
fund. It's
Right.
all one bucket.
But we're paying, for regular hours, we're paying the highway driver, working, plowing the town.
I understand,
He's getting paid out of the highway payroll line.
I understand.
Should not be.
Yeah.
Sure,
They
yeah.
are.
My
No,
estimation,
no.
should be all snow and ice.
So it's general fund, so that's general fund.
No, I get that, but the whole thing is
Snow
snow and
and
ice.
At
So
some
when,
point,
so when you're
though-
looking, and say, what did this storm cost us? Right?
But
It should be,
we-
it should be, come from one account
But
number.
if we were like, if we're getting recovery, you end up doing that, right? You take the time, the straight time they put in, you roll it into the cost of the storm, if we're getting something back from FEMA or whoever, right? I mean, that's what we normally do.
We
That's
keep
what did
all the
last year.
payroll records.
Yeah,
You know, one of my concerns is that, by putting all this on the onus on snow and ice, at some point, we're gonna be punished
Yeah.
down the road if, whatever they take from the general fund, they're gonna come back and take it from us.
It's good no matter what.
Reestablish it.
We gotta draw a line in the sand here and say enough of this stuff. You know?
I mean, by right, Dan, the highway guys that are out there plowing snow and ice, for snow and ice, should be accounted for under snow and ice, it should be under the highway budget. The highway budget, I know includes snow and ice, but, if you're really trying to track what the cost of these storms are, and the snow and ice, you should actually do a true cost center budget, and accounting system.
I mean, yeah, I'm not the treasurer, I'm not the accountant, I don't set up the accounts, but we get $400,000 a year for snow and ice. So,
It's the only one we can overspend, because we don't know.
right, so now, if you want to create all of these accounts, you might have snow and ice, and instead of it now being 400,000, there's gonna be $50,000 for cemetery, trees and greens, 50,000 for highway, 50,000 for water, 50,000, and it's It's the same pool of money again.
Well, the issue is, then you go back and you look at the truth in budgeting and accounting, is that there's $50,000 that's not dedicated to the cemetery trees and greens. There's X number of dollars not really directed to the highways. It's really looking at it from a storm standpoint versus actual maintenance.
Right. And then when you have all those, so you'll be able to break down what departments are paying, how much is being paid in regular hours for each department. Then you're basically just doing another offset. So it says, okay, well, you spend $20,000, we're gonna take that off the indirect charges. So we're back to what we're doing in the first place. It's just that now it's a little bit more clear cut as opposed to getting 5% overall.
Why are we taking it off the indirects? What, the indirects have nothing to do with this.
It does have everything to do with it if you want to create separate snow and ice accounts. Because you're now paying them out of snow and ice.
Use the same one you're using for the overtime.
That's what we're doing now, John, but you want it separated. You want to identify.
I
what's
just want to
being
get paid. You know, you're the budget man, you figure it out.
Well, I can figure it out if you don't keep changing the rules as we go along. You know?
They changed the rules.
No, so, I mean, basically, what you want is you want an account that the general fund will pay the enterprise accounts. What's more direction to say, create an account in the general fund that the enterprise accounts can charge that too? What's more direct than that? To create these separate lines of snow and ice, you just making more lines doing the same thing.
What do you want, in offsets? Where do you want the money to come? How do you want us to get paid?
I think it's a great idea. If you want to get charged, if you want to bill the town for regular hours, snow and ice for enterprise, if they could set up an account and put money in it, that the payroll, overtime snow and ice payroll line in the water division, and it hits that line
What
directly.
do they have to put money in something? We got this organized budget.
That we do the snow and ice budget, and that's what we pay them out of, John, but you want to separate that. You're the one who's saying, I want to take that money out of there, I want, when
I want
they
it
plow
just-
on a Monday through Friday.
Yeah.
I don't want it coming out of the snow and ice.
I do.
No, you're saying you wanted a direct
Stop
charge.
saying what I want to say and just listen.
Well, you
I
say
wanted
direct
to
charge,
come-
you can't change direct to indirect.
Stop with it.
Okay, go ahead, sorry.
Can't you just set up an account similar to the one that we have for overtime and put the hours in that comes out of snow and ice?
I cannot.
What?
The accountant can do that, I cannot set up an account.
So if they don't do that,
And I have no line to charge you.
so then we'll have to go to offsets if they don't do it. Then we'll just go to offsets.
You make a request as part of the financial
so we'll
team
get the-
to set up an account.
Yeah.
And if we're refused, then
Then we go to
Plan B.
offset,
Then we
so-
go to Plan B.
So just leave the letter for the payroll funding source open.
Yeah.
And don't directly to tell them. And then the fallback, if they push back, will go to offsets.
Correct. Go to offsets and then
So,
we'll keep
so,
it- we'll
so
keep
does that, by doing that, does that change the language on paragraph 2?
Paragraph 2, yeah,
Because we were talking about changing the language to
no, it
offsets
doesn't have the,
on paragraph 2.
yeah. What we want to do is have a separate account set up by I think his name's Mr. Fleming. If he'll do that. If he doesn't do it, we'll do it in offsets. So you can add offsets in here somewhere.
All right,
You know what to do. You're the budget guy.
I'll just come to
You're the
you.
deputy superintendent of budgets. Come on, will you? Jeez.
Assistant superintendent,
Yes,
it's the official title, right?
that's right.
Deputy, I said it right.
Superintendent for
But have a
business.
badge, please.
All right. All right, so, let's
Got a
go over
man.
the minutes. Make a motion to, review and accept the minutes of the Board of Public Works of November 8th, 2021. Any comments?
No, I read them. They're very good. Thanks, Henry.
Likewise, I'm all set with it.
All right, having heard it, have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Make a motion to accept, review and accept, November 22nd, open meeting of the Board of Public Works.
I read them. I have no problem with them. Thanks,
Have a
Henry.
second?
Second.
Second, John seconds.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Let's go on to the superintendent's report of 965 Plain Street.
965 Plain Street, the utility sub was on site today, going through the plans on the utilities. We have a meeting scheduled today, a kickoff meeting with the contractor, the owner's project manager, and the designer, and the management team, which was canceled and rescheduled for next Monday.
Did they set a time on that again?
I think it's the same time, 2 to 5 or. Marshfield Hills, the street signs, we got the blanks today. The signs will, the rest of the signs will be all setting up this week. The crosswalk signs were put up today. Once I get all the street signs up, we're gonna do a walkthrough with the engineers and just go over any type of a punch list that we've got. Everything seems to be where it should be except for the signage. I want to discuss, I'd like to, the hours for the holiday at the transfer station. We're gonna close, we'll be open till 4:30 on Thursday. We will close Friday and Saturday. The 24th is, the employees celebrate the 24th, and Christmas is the 25th, so we figured we'd close for both days. And I would like to do the same thing on New Year's. We would close New Year's Eve at 4:30, and we would be closed, actually, we would close on Thursday at 4:30, and Friday, we would be closed on the 31st, and Saturday, the 1st.
So could you put a note or some sign at the entrance of the,
Yeah,
what the hours are for the holiday?
we'll put a signboard up there, so.
Put a signboard and also put the signboard to say about the swap shop.
Yes,
I was gonna say, if we could, the marquee sign that we have out at the entrance to 965, put that on there too.
yeah.
I think we can suspend the shop
Yeah, I think
information for a
we
while.
could do that, definitely. No doubt about it. Yeah, I know, and as our guest this evening said that he couldn't understand why we were closed through the COVID pandemic, well, that decision was made by me reaching out to my peers. And what they were doing with their swap shops.
I remember that, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I pretty much did what the region was doing, and I am still doing pretty much what the region is doing. They're having the same issues as we are.
It's not just here.
No, it's not.
Even up in New Hampshire and probably Maine, where Dave goes, the swap shops are only open 1 or 2 days a week. It's very limited, and basically, you know, when it's open, there's somebody there that is from the town, making sure that it's not trash.
Right. The one that in the town where I am up in New Hampshire, they closed it down completely.
Yeah. Scarborough, where my, Center Sebago rather, where my son lives, the youngest guy, they have, it's a transfer station, but basically they shut down the exchange of, things in the swap area.
Yes.
They don't have a shop per se, they have a swap area, and they just shut that down, so all that was happening was recycling and trash.
And
Okay.
in closing, I just have a sad note to share with the board is, I replaced Kathy Drinan on the Plymouth County Mosquito Control Board back in June, and when she became the liaison, the community liaison. And I'm sad to report that she passed away from injuries of a house fire this past weekend.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, she was really an asset to the organization, and her outreach was, she was very good at it. And it's a sad note.
I'm sorry to hear that, but thank you for sharing that with us. I appreciate it. Yeah.
Thank you.
One thing I need for my personal reference, which you're aware of, is the plans for the your feeding and
Oh,
whatnot.
yes, I want to make sure that I inform you that on Thursday,
The
the
23rd?
23rd,
Yep.
at 9 o'clock, I'm having a breakfast for the employees, and the commissioners are more than welcome.
Rumpus, where are we going?
We're gonna have it right at the shop. We're gonna slum it, but
Hey, if it was good enough for voting, it's good enough.
All right,
That's it.
yeah, right.
so you're more than welcome.
I got one item I need to ask the board about. Back on November 22nd, we had a resident who was coming in for an abatement, and he didn't make it.
Yep.
He's contacted us and said that he got his scheduling wrong. And he was hoping to come in and talk to the board, but he's going to Florida.
Oh my God.
So he's not gonna be able to make any meeting in the future, but he brought up an issue to me, and he said that when the meter went out, his meter number didn't match the meter that went out to get read.
I have that picture, Steve
Okay.
sent it to me.
So I talked to him on the phone today, and I said, geez, well, that's kind of puts a curve on things. So I did a little research, and the meter was the actual meter that went out. On the history report that he got, it gave a meter number, but it was the meter read number. And then when Reagan Testing sent out the report, which he received, it's referred the meter number, which is actually the meter number, which is
The
engraved
serial
on
number
the
of the
meter.
meter, yeah.
So his meter did get read properly. And I drafted the letter, Tom signed it, it was reading like 99.5.8% on all the reads. And we had denied his request. He was gonna come in, and I think that was gonna be his argument, and I told him that I would ask you guys if you would see him, since he missed his meeting, and I don't know if you want me to call him back, if you wanna make a decision on that, or how you wanna handle it, or wait till he comes back from Florida next spring sometime.
Well, the question, I guess, is, you have advised him of the fact that it is the correct meter and the,
I have not, because I was gonna advise him on both instances when I call him back tomorrow.
okay,
told
so
him
I would think that would be the first step, and indicate to him, from my perspective, anyway, that settles the issue.
Yeah.
His argument, he saw the radio reader,
Okay, yeah.
which is on the top of the meter.
I have it here, actually.
Right.
so.
Yeah, I mean, if you point all of that stuff out to him, and he still has an issue, let him come
I
back.
gotta be honest with him, if it was me reading it and not dealing with it on a daily basis, I would also think the same thing.
Yeah.
But when he reads his history report, the meter number says serial number, and it's 156-928-7618. But it's not really the meter number, that's the radio read number, which is in that slot.
So you wanna send him a letter explaining all that to him, and if he wants to meet with the board when he gets back, fine.
Okay, I'll do that. I'll call him too, to give him the update. I'll let him know that I'm gonna draft another letter, and then it's up to him when he comes back from Florida.
Okay.
All right, great, thanks.
All right.
Okay,
Thank you.
Take this?
Yeah.
Marshfield Hill sidewalks.
He just got through that.
Oh, you can, okay, we're done. All right, make a motion to adjourn.
The next
The
meeting?
meeting will be January 3rd.
I'll hold it.
I may have a conflict that night, and we'll, depending on what the agenda.
You wanna move it?
I'll talk with Anne Marie on that, I'll double check tomorrow.
Yeah, that's what you do.
I think I have
Okay.
a commitment on the 3rd, I
You wanna move it for a week?
Put the
Yeah.
whole shit
believe.
down.
We could,
In the whole same thing.
for the following.
Yeah, well, we'll just make it, January 10th.
Okay.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Fine.
I could add one item too. I did, with regard to the change that we noted in the latest report, where they're not sticking with the original format that Analytical Balance had initially done. And it's basically mixing and matching a bunch of stuff. And the only way you can actually get the same number they put for the bottom line on PFAS on the well site is to go by the chemical formal name. You have to go through the report to pick them out. One thing you might point out, your friends.
Yep.
Okay, that's the only one that's still in order. And then you're down to 2, then you go to 6, then you go to 3, then you go to 5, and there's a whole bunch of dispersed.
So,
Yeah, the bottom line comes down, I did point that out to, I had a brief discussion with the health agent happen to catch him in the foyer. And I also,
So this is the meeting for tomorrow.
okay. Yeah, he's gonna forward that to me.
Yeah.
So I will, I
So
know,
I'm not sure if it's an internal thing, but if you call in, it's like, yeah,
if they bounce me out, they bounce me out.
Fine. Okay.
I'll just proceed on my own. As you know I will. But anyway, the issue there is that Maresco asked if he, after I got through explaining what I had discovered and looking at these reports, that he wanted me to show up on the 20th and just give an update to the, for the status of the most recent readings on October the 19th. And I plan to accept the invitation to the Board of Selectmen.
But it reminds, the meeting they're talking about, the grouping, the types of chemicals
Yeah.
for industrial, farm, residential, and firefighting.
Yeah.
So basically, and then that Worcester Polytech
Yeah.
is looking at having a multi-variable and analytical team that, for the PFAS, that will read all those
Yeah.
type of things, those reports, and come, and the computer will come out and spit out which
Well, these are all
PFAS.
transmitted electronically now. I mean,
Yeah, I know that, but the thing is, they're gonna take all this information
yeah.
and be able to, have the computer do it versus manually do it.
Have the computer do what?
Pull out all the PFAS chemicals that are in all those reports. Because there's a, we'll find out tomorrow, how's that? I don't have the information,
I hear what you're saying, but it doesn't really make any sense to me, Bob, because
Yeah, well,
the chemicals are the chemicals they are. The DEP established PFAS 1 through 6, which were the ones that are being regulated, and the only ones they're looking at and tracking on a report.
so
That's already there. The other PFASs were, I guess, for informational. One of the concerns I have, and part of the reason I want to be out in front of this stuff is, somewhere down the line, as the analytical process matures, those other PFASs are probably going to be drawn in. And then
So-
we're going to be dealing with them.
So,
And all of a sudden, we're going to be seeing PFAS parts per trillion that may begin to close in on part 20.
So the best thing to do is listen to the meeting tomorrow, because I'm gonna listen to the meeting tomorrow, because I really don't know enough about all the analytical stuff that's going on out there.
Yeah.
With that, let's close the meeting.
Thank you.
We're gonna close it again. Second to close?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Yeah.
I recommend